Hi, my name is Adriano Fiorenza. I am the founder and developer of GameChanger Wallet, but in this case, we are presenting Dandelion Explorer, which is a graphical tool to explore and work with the PostGREST API that is being served by our partner project, Dandelion APIs, which are free APIs being served for the developer community or the student community on Cardano to quickly start building on Cardano without needing to deploy your own nodes and your own API services. More specifically, this PostGREST API is actually a RESTful API that is serving data from a Postgres database. On Cardano, we have indexers that turn the information from the blockchain into database information we can query later and work with. The most famous one is the official cardano-dbsync. The Cardano Foundation also is creating another one that is LedgerSync. Well, there are many others from TX5 and other projects, but in this case we are focusing on indexers that populate Postgres databases, because more specifically Dandelion works with the cardano-dbsync indexer that stores its information on a Postgres database. So we are presenting here Dandelion Explorer, which is a graphical tool where you can query and explore graphically this data that has been indexed on the underlying Postgres database. By default and exclusively for Cardano, this tool has been adapted to work with Dandelion APIs. So this is the GitHub repository of the tool. You can select from different databases, for example, from different networks, from mainnet, from one of the testnets. You have a lot of features, and on the documentation on the GitHub repository, you have some UI insights of features the tool has, and some example queries you can try on your own to get started. So if we go to the online version of the tool, once you pick the database you want to work with, you will see that you have a list on this panel of all the tables that this database has. For example, blocks. For example, pool metadata, transactions, outputs, inputs, information regarding stake registrations, and also because of the upcoming changes on the chain, we have governance tables, right? So on this side, on this part of the UI of the tool, you have the most important part is the table itself that shows the contents of the actual table you're exploring. For example, let's see transaction metadata. You can see here you can change, for example, the amount of rows you're going to be querying. You can even export this data as JSON or even a separated value format. You can sort these tables based on some parameters. And for example, for Cardano, some conversions has been adapted on the tool, so you can quickly preview, for example, JSON or or data that can be serialized as JSON, for example, seaboard structures. You can quickly watch them, read this information on these tooltips. Here we have added an extra query section where you can instruct the query you're working with. You can instruct, add, for example, some extra parameters or filters or some extra Postgres syntax that maybe can allow you to, for example, order the upcoming, the response from the query. In this case, for example, we are ordering on an ascendant sort order, putting all the nulls values at the last part of the response, and we are ordering by the ID column of the table. So this is the most important, maybe, for developers and students, the most important feature of this tool that allows you to actually build your own queries to bring exactly the information you need from the PostGREST service. And here you can design these queries. For example, imagine you can, let's imagine we just want the keys, I don't know, the 22s, all the 22s, the metadata label from the metadata section of the transactions. We're going to just query all the metadata that has been indexed under this key, the key number 22, for example. If we run the query, remember we are working with 10 rows, and please keep in mind, check the number of results without any filtering. So some queries will take time, especially if it's not indexed that primary key or that key that we're working with. So for example, here, as I shown, we have gathered all the metadata that is under the 22 key, right? And this, for example, has an associated transaction ID, which then you can go to the transaction table and query, for example, for these IDs to interconnect the results, just to join these results. PostGREST has some degree of flexibility regarding these, regarding operations like joins and other SQL related operations, but it's not exactly SQL, so keep in mind that it's not as powerful as SQL, but it has other benefits, even regarding security. So with this tool, we're not connecting directly to the database. We are doing it through a PostGREST API. This adds a layer of security that you may want to have on your projects. Okay, so you have other features like search. You can do some more advanced search, but for example, imagine we want all the tables that has something to do with pools, so we can type pool here, and as a result, we have here on this side panel, we have the list of all the tables that has something to do with pools, has columns, or the table name is actually contains the keyword pool. Regarding queries, you have here a history of queries that you can then click and go back in time, let's say, to retry some of your past queries. And here you have an embedded help that we adapted on this tool to point to the PostGREST documentation, because PostGREST has its own syntax, and it's important for you to have access, more direct access to this information, as sometimes it's not as easy to find. Okay, PostGREST allows you to send the variables of the queries through the get section of the requests. So this means that, yes, an URL is enough to interact with PostGREST. So as I show you here, you can copy. Sorry, here you can copy the URL, or copy here the URL you have designed here with this query builder, and you can, for example, paste it on your browsers to read the information. Here, Firefox is rendering this JSON results, JSON data, more prettified, but you can see the actual data here. And okay, this is one way you can work with PostGREST. So let's actually jump into some developer action here. Let's actually do something useful with this tool to see how in short time we can be building something with this. So off-chain pool data. This table has the information that is off-chain, right? It's not exactly on-chain. It's based on the pools, the stake pools that are or has once been registered on-chain, but this pool, this off-chain pool data is bringing some information that is outside the blockchain itself, and this indexer, cardano-dbsync, joins all this information from the outside world, from outside the chain, and some information from the chain, for example, to generate tables like these that are very useful. So let's use this table to do this example. So we want to search for stake pools that contains some keywords on the ticker, on their ticker names. So here we have the table. You have the ticker name to reference a pool. You have, of course, the hash of the pool, and here you have the actual metadata. That is this off-chain information that the indexer has added and stored on the database as well. We're more interested on this, for example, on this JSON information, right, from the table, but as well the hash and the ticker names are relevant. Okay, let's create a single rule. You can create group of rules with operators let's keep it simple for now. You can go to you can select the ticker name, and let's say we want to filter all the tickers that contains, for example, let's say peace, the peaceful ticker name. And in this case, we can see that we have two records, and these records, if I enable, because I previously disabled some columns here, you can see that first we had one registration of this pool, and then we have another one when an updated off-chain metadata, because in blockchain, you know, events occur in time, and some events can replace previous information stored on-chain or reference from the on-chain data. In this case, this means this pool has updated its information. For those who don't know, very quickly, PEACE is the stake pool and the stake pool operator that is behind Dandelion APIs. Okay, so we have the right query, it works. We will copy this link. Remember, if we paste it here on the browser, we will notice that it works. But let's jump into a more interesting action. Let's create the actual tool that will allow us to search this information. So I'm going to edit here. Okay, I'm going to edit a bash script that is going to actually run this query for us. For this, we are going to call the curl command, and okay, I need to copy this. And I'm going to paste. Okay, I'm not copying the value correctly. Let's manually. Okay, here we have the URL, as you can see here in this part. We're making the filter, and the curl command can be called this way without more data, and by default it's going to work. We can give execution permissions to this those commands, and now we can run it. And yes, we have obtained the two registrations of chain data of the peace pool. But okay, let's now do let's automate this a bit more to turn it to something more useful. Let's pass this is the first part of the command line call that is that this way we can pass arguments to this command line tool. Let's connect this here directly on the filter. And now let's do this. Let's change instead of peace, let's say white. And ta-da, it works. And we are fetching information from the white product state. For example, because we said that it has to contain a keyword not being exactly equal to the keyword, we can, for example, search all the pools that contains this 01 keyword to see if there are multiple pools around, multiple pool operators, and well, yes, we have a bunch. Okay, this is with Bash. This is Bash script. But what about another common language around? Okay, let's do the same with JavaScript. Okay, so for this we are going to call the fetch function. It's native on nowadays. The native on nowadays NodeJs installs. And let's, okay. We have now the fetch here function that is going to call the same, it's going to run the same query. This is async, so we're going to use promises. We're going to say then data. We're going to serialize this as JSON, data.json. Of course, we're not checking for errors or nothing too fancy here. And then, once we have the JSON data, we're going to, we want to say JSON here to be more clear. We can say console.dir and let's pass JSON. And that's it. Okay, let's see what happens if I say node get info.js. Boom, it worked. Remember these two entries in the database? Here we have both of them. All right, so now let's do the same thing we did with the command line tool. Sorry. For this, we are going to create string template here. And inject a variable that is value actually that comes from process.gv, and in this case we're calling with node. It's the index number 2. Okay, let's see if it works. So if I do this, for example, it should bring me the white stackable information of the piece, and it works. So yeah, I was talking too much, but if you check how much effort, sorry, this takes to just jump into to start building with this tool without knowing the Postgres syntax, it's quite handy, right? So check the documentation here, as Postgres has a lot of features that you can use, and of course keep in mind that different Dandelion nodes from this community network of nodes that is serving all these APIs. Keep in mind that different versions of the cardano-dbsync will populate differently this database information. So keep that in mind, especially after forks, for example, where the chain adds or changes some relevant information. But also remember that also this almost direct connection to the database allows you to access the information without any opinionated service in between. Of course, you will have to deal with some updates on your code to deal with, for example, ports, as I told you. But at the end, you will have control of the information without any conversions in between. And also, this impacts on having faster response times and more scale API service than maybe other services that that do not scale too much or consume much more resources. This is very lightweight. So, well, thank you for listening, and please keep in mind that Dandelion APIs is free of charge for the community. 3 years or more than 3 years of existence on Cardano, making these things possible. Join the network, became a node operator. Let's decentralize services more on Cardano by joining the Dandelion network. For example, you can decentralize more GameChanger wallet by just joining to this network. Always try to support this project because it's really important for Cardano and for Cardano builders. Thank you for listening.